So could you talk about beef and pork, which is going to be organized in JNU? The context they are saying that is, in JNU there are good number of Northeast students and also majority of South Indian and Dalit population who eat beef, and there is a good number of Northeast students who eat pork too. Therefore, beef and pork. So that why can't we serve beef and pork in the dabas? That is not in the canteen, not in the mess. It's in a private, like Northeast dabas are present in JNU. So that in that dabas, why don't you provide these foods also of Northeast? Because you are forcing Northeast to eat something different in the name of putting Northeast in dabas, where you don't get Northeast food. So in this context, they are organizing. They are also saying during the holy festivals and all, you serve vegetarian food. You will also serve this drinking thing during this holy and all. So that they say in Vinayak Chaturthi also you are having a festival. Then when you celebrate these many things, why don't you also accept the fact that the food culture which we all have in the back home are not able to eat in the university dabas, at least right now? So that is the thing. Could you comment on that?
I would like to look at the entire issue about eating of beef and pork altogether from a different kind of a perspective. I would not like to make a distinction whether North Indians or South Indians, because on JNU that a large segment of population come from this region, that they would like to eat because in their culture or in their state they eat pork or beef. I think what is important is when you are talking about in a country like ours, in a democracy, there is something called democratic rights. There is something called food rights. It is important to know from my standpoint right to eat whatever people like. When we are talking about pork and beef, it is majority of the people in this country eat pork and beef. It is a poor people's food. They have the right to eat. That is one point. The second important point, much more important, is we also need to talk this issue scientifically. A lot of research has been done all over the country, particularly by institution called National Institute of Nutrition, which is located in Hyderabad, which is the biggest institute in Asia in terms of nutrition research. Several research findings of the National Institute of Nutrition clearly indicate beef has got much more protein. There is evidence to prove, there is data to prove, this is scientifically carried out. They say it is nutritious, that is why people should eat beef as a food. So it amazes me in this country, which we call about democracy, that the 65 years of democracy, people do not even have the right to eat whatever they want to eat. And I'm very, very happy that one of the premier institutions in India, like Jawaharlal Nehru University, which is located in capital New Delhi, that they have decided to organize. I'm not talking about that they should be allowed to eat only in dabas. Why should not it be in the mainstream university hostel? In the university hostel, in our curriculum, in our syllabus, we talk about democracy, we talk about people's rights, we talk about human rights, we talk about civil liberties, we talk about all of us are equal. But then when it comes to university in terms of the nature of food, they have to be given, they are discriminating. So I'm one of those people who say that it's not a question of the students who come from Northeast that they should be allowed to eat in a daba or any other kind of an outlet. If the students of that university demand that we should be given beef and we should be given pork, it should be given. It should be given. We should not make any kind of a distinction in terms of, we should not discriminate people in terms of what is the nature of food they should be eaten. Let me go back a little bit into what happened at Osmania University campus. And Osmania University is one of the oldest universities in this country. When the students decided to organize a beef festival, a lot of them raised a furor and saying, why do you want to have a festival on this? I said, we want to have a festival on Osmania University campus because we want to assert our democratic rights in terms of what we want to eat. What we want to eat. What did the students do? What did the faculty do that day? We bought beef from outside. It was cooked outside. And then the food was brought onto the Osmania University campus near the hostel. It was not even organized in front of the Arts College or anywhere. We organized in front of the hostel. About 300 to 400 people, both faculty and students from all over, have come, and then they have eaten the beef. But look at the furor in this country. Political parties, particularly BJP and the fundamentalist parties, have been opposing it. The Vaishyas of the university did not allow many of the faculty members, many of the students to come onto the campus. There was so much of police protection on Osmania University that particular day. In fact, what happened in Osmania University set an agenda for the country in terms of a food agenda for this country. That event is a remarkable kind of an event which has really provoked many people to think that people of this country are not even allowed to eat whatever kind of a food they want to eat. So one has to look at the whole issue from in terms of right to eat. And we do not have, no one in this country has got any right to talk about this. If people of this country are not even allowed to eat whatever they want to eat, democracy has there's something called democratic rights, there's something called food rights, there's something called cultural rights. As part of this culture, we want to go about celebrating, we want to go about having festival, we want to eat what is the natural food of this country. I think it is also important for me as a professor, as an academic, to be, people can go hungry in this country, there can be hunger deaths in this country, no one talks about it. So much of food is rotting in this country. All of us have been saying that food should be distributed free for the people of this country. Government is not willing to distribute free. State is not willing to give food free for people. But then people want to eat cheap food, available food, nutritious food, and political parties and the state is raising a big issue on that. So that is where I think it is important when we talk about right to eat. And in fact, in a country like India, where so much of plurality is there, so much of diversity is there are different kinds of food habits, different kinds of cultures we have. If this is not stalled, if this is not debated in this country, tomorrow they will even say that people of this country do not have the right to wear whatever kind of a dress they are wearing. This dress is not acceptable. This code is not acceptable. How did they go about deciding? Where did they get this right in this country to say that we do not have? Constitution at one level talks about democratic rights. Constitution at one level talks about freedom of practicing any kind of a religion and culture. But then we are not even allowed to eat beef in this country. We are not even allowed to eat pork in this country. So from that kind of a standpoint, we have to eat. All university campuses, all youth of this country have to assert on this in terms of whatever food they want that should be served. These are all state-funded universities. Government practice, cannot practice, any kind of a discrimination. When they are allowed to build, temples and university campuses all over the country, they are allowed. Why not mass? Why not gurudwaras? Why not in hostels, whatever food we want to have? This is not a country of one religion. This is a multi-religious country, multicultural country. There is a plurality in this country. There is diversity in this country. Plurality in terms of food habits, diversity in terms of food habits, and that no state can interfere. And what is happening today in JNU, the BJP has given a statement. They said it will create law and order problem, but they are not talking about 60% of the people in this country live below the poverty line. 60% of the people, their rights are violated, their human rights are violated, their civil liberties are violated. In the name of special economic zones, thousands and thousands and millions of people are being eliminated from their land. They are not special economic zones, they are special elimination zones, they are special eradication zones. Why is the state not trying to interfere? Why is the state not trying to say all resources of poor people today, whether it is from tribal areas, wherever the Dalits are having land, there is a whole lot of furor going on in this country. Why is not the state interfering to protect their rights, protect their land? You can distribute their land, you can distribute their wealth, but then you will not even allow us to eat whatever food we want to eat in this country. eat in this country. So it is a question of trying to make this as a larger issue. Otherwise, education has no value. If university students are not going to be raising this issue, whether it is JNU or Osmania University or any other kind of a mainstream university, who are the people who are going to be raising this issue? All universities have been in the forefront of major social movements, whether it's a reservation movement, whether it's a bundle movement. Now, this major issue has cropped up about whether we should eat beef on campuses. Beef should be served, or pork should be served in hostels, in university hostels. This is an issue, and students have a right to ask for their food rights. If food rights are not there, it is like curbing our democratic right. If food rights are not there, it is a question of curbing our human right. It is a total violation of the Indian Constitution. So we are talking about our constitutional rights. Constitutional rights talk about right to practice any religion, culture, including food rights.